Hey, what's up, traders? This is Blake. Several weeks ago, the BBC made a documentary called Instatraders. While I may have only had a short cameo,
and I just now have received the money in my bank account.
Sam was the main focus of the documentary. According to Sam, the BBC did some questionable practices in the creation of this documentary. Those include cherry picking things that he said and also selectively editing to drive a narrative. In this video, I'll be interviewing Sam to get his full unedited opinion and expose what actually took place. All right, so I am here with Sam, who of course is from KB Trading, and he was the main subject of a BBC documentary, Instatraders, and I have him on here today to talk a little bit about his experience with that whole situation, to get the real facts out. I know there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of dirty things that the BBC did, so I have now an opportunity for everyone to set the record straight. So happy to have you on.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me, man.
Can you give us a little bit of a background about where you were coming from this whole situation? What is your background with trading?
So for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Sam. I'm the owner of KB. So KB was an educational firm. I mean, we still do provide education, but we, in the past sort of year, began making the transition into a proprietary trading firm. I had been trading for about 3.5 years before I started teaching people. And then, when I started teaching people, probably about a year after that, got a YouTube channel, started doing YouTube. That kind of took off. And as KB started to, exponentially grow, I thought, I'm going to use this money to get an office and to get equipment and to hire traders. I'm going to build a prop firm out of it, because I had trading income, I had the income from KB from the education. And I thought if we could use the income from that education, there's so many people in this industry use the money that they make from education, it's none of my business, but they use it to fund their lifestyle or whatever. I thought I'm going to use it to visibly do something different to what every other educational company out there is doing. I'm actually going to build something bigger and give back to people who come, get taught by us, do exceptionally well. We can then fund them, and further their trading career. And that was the kind of the goal and the ambition. So as we kind of grew that social media presence, obviously the BBC contacted me probably like March last year, 2020. And the journalist kind of said, look, we're doing a documentary about trading. We see that there's a lot of, things called like signals and, broker affiliate deals and all that. Can you tell us a bit about it? I told them, everything anyone could possibly want to know about it. I kind of laid it out, prop firms education is the good side, the professional side. The not so good side is, signals and broker affiliate deals and this kind of lavish lifestyle and stuff. And they were super on board and, brought me on, and I was exchanging emails with them regularly. I felt like I was really guiding the direction of the documentary. And then they, phoned me one day, they said, we've got the documentary commission. This is excellent. We're ready to go ahead. Can you teach our presenter how to trade? And that's pretty much what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to come and film with us. We were going to teach the presenter how to trade. And then they were also going to show the negative side of the industry as well. Now, around this time, we went into lockdown because of COVID, and, everything kind of got put on hold. And then, over COVID, over lockdown, the Daily Record and all these UK media outlets started to expose all of these scammers, all these signals companies and that kind of stuff. The Financial Conduct Authority really started to crack down on it. And basically over the course of a few months lockdown, quarantine, they lost half of their story. And, when it came to them actually filming again, I think they were kind of scratching their heads like, what are we going to do? And they just kind of ran with what they had, which was FTMO, prop firms, education. And, looking at the documentary in hindsight, it seems like they kind of had half their story left, that education side, and they thought this has to be the main focus. How can we make it look bad? And that's kind of where it went from there.
Yeah, so I talk a lot about prop firms on my channel as well, and I've had a lot of success with FTMO, as I've seen a lot of students as well have success, and I've even started my own prop firm recently. So I have a lot of experience in that end as well. So what kind of experience do you have with the prop firm space specifically? Did you start your own, or did you partner with FTMO?
In terms of being partnered with FTMO, we actually only developed a partnership probably about 8 months ago. I had always known about prop firms from the old days, like 2010, 2011. A lot of the people who taught me how to trade, people like Tom Dante and stuff like that, had worked at famous prop firms in the UK like Futex or Axia Futures and stuff like that. And that was really cool. And I kind of, as I was coming up through the industry, I'd always aspired to that kind of trading floor. You can trade from, when I started trading, I was trading at a bedroom in my parents' house, right? And I'd always kind of aspired to what it might be like in the future. You may be trading at a home office or something like that, and you just think, well, where am I going to go from here? And I think something I'd always had in mind, I remember having a meeting with my accountant when I was like, maybe 17, 18 years old, and said, I want to have a trading floor and, all that kind of stuff. And she kind of said, it's really big ambition to have. And I knew from that point on, that's what I wanted to do. And so when online prop firms started to become really popular, like FTMO, I thought this is really, really cool. And as soon as I knew that they were legitimate, any of my students who didn't have the capital, I started saying, you can go and pay for a challenge and you can pass this account, you can get funded. And that's when the prop firm model started to go kind of mainstream. People started to really get it. And over the course of the kind of 2019, 2020, I sent loads of people FTMO's way, and probably up until that point, maybe about 20, 25 people successfully passed FTMO challenges, through our education, through FTMO. And at that point, I'd been in correspondence with FTMO, and I had said, well, is there the potential for some kind of partnership? And they said yes, and they gave us a link. Now, anybody who has ever been part of KB or whatever, most people don't even know that we have a partnership with FTMO because we don't, push the link. It's not on our website or anything like that. But what happens is if someone comes to me directly and says, I need capital, or, I think I'm doing well, I'll give them the link. But truth be told, I think we've had one or two people we've been paid for on that affiliate link, maybe like £50 worth of, affiliate commission. And we're completely open about that. I mean, when the BBC started asking us questions about FTMO, I sent them screenshots of my portal on the FTMO website, the affiliate portal. We made like £50. So, obviously we kind of developed that partnership with FTMO. I was starting KB as a prop firm at that time. We ran we had a few hundred applications. I think we had 200 in total. And we ran loads of interviews and picked, 5 or 6 guys to actually work on our trading floor. And, the BBC kind of jumped in at that point. We've got brand new guys starting out their trading career with us. They've been trading for a while, but they're starting out their professional trading career with us at KB. And that's where, when the BBC kind of started filming with us, we were in our first couple of months of running a prop firm.
Cool. Yeah, that's really awesome to hear that you've had the experience with that and being able to start your own. That's a really, really cool feeling to be able to have that experience to lead into your own prop firm. So how has that really changed your opinion of the prop firm space? I know that they've kind of twisted your words a little bit, or maybe even edited some things out. So how do you really feel about the prop firms and people who take prop firm challenges?
I have absolutely no bones about it. And this maybe isn't what I don't know about you, but a lot of people who watch trading videos, this isn't what you want to hear. But I'm going to say it bluntly, if you're watching this and you're interested in trading, there's a very, very good chance that you're never going to make it. That's the simple fact of it. Now, that's just statistics. If you put people down to statistics, this is one thing I will say. Yeah, 90% of people won't make it. But if you bring people down to a statistic, you're going to be seriously, seriously underestimating a lot of people. And the reason I say that is, let's say 100 people try trading. The statistic says 90% won't make it. Of that 90% who don't make it, how many of them do you think have sought education? Let's say maybe half. So let's say maybe 45. Of those 45, how many do you think took it in a professional, setting like a trading floor? Maybe 5. Of that 5, how many people had other things on, like uni, or, they had their parents in the rear or their girlfriend in the rear or whatever. So when you look at it, it's not like 90% of people don't make it because it's just impossible to make it. It's very possible to make it if you actually apply yourself, if you go about it the right way. But most people don't. And so our job, I'm not totally clued up on what you do, Blake, but our job when we provide education or guidance to anybody is to give them as much guidance as possible to send them in the right direction. We can't make someone profitable, of course not. If we could, everyone would be profitable and trading wouldn't be a lucrative industry, right? All we can do is we can say, this is how we done it. So you can't walk directly in our footsteps because that's not how this game works. You can follow after our direction. You may stray from the path, side to side. That may cost you. You may blow an account here. You may make a mistake there. You may end up taking 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But if you follow in my general direction, you are going to make it if you apply yourself. And to me, prop firms are excellent because they are the key to making something a professional career. I mean, when I started, and again, it's not something that I'm proud of, but when I started and I only had, a few £100 in my trading account, the only way you were making meaningful returns was to massively over leverage. Yeah, I mean, most people may not remember this, but when I started trading, there was very little regulation on brokers for leverage. So you could get a brokerage account with 1,000 to 1 leverage or 500 to 1 leverage. There was no ESMA regulation or anything like that. You could get a broker. I'm not going to name them now because I don't want to get sued, but you could get a brokerage account with some off-sea broker in Cyprus or Australia or whatever. You had insane leverage. You had maybe a £500 account. You had millions of pounds buying power. You just don't get that nowadays. So you could turn a £500 account into a 5-6 grand account in a handful of trades. That's insane, and so a lot of people were doing this sort of boom and bust thing when I started out. And if people wanted to make meaningful money, they put £1,000 into a trading account and they want to make 50 quid a day. Realistically, they want to make 50 quid a day. So they're looking to make 5% returns every day. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic unless you're over leveraging, and that's what people done. So there wasn't a lot of media exposure to this at the time, but people were very regularly finding 500 or £1,000 in brokerage accounts and losing it. How do I know this? Because loads of people I knew in Facebook groups and that kind of thing. It was all forums when I started out, 2015, 2016, but countless people were blowing accounts every day. Now, I don't know about you, Blake, but I very rarely hear people blowing accounts nowadays. And the reason is because most people nowadays, they start with some money, they know to risk 1 or 2%, or they start with a demo account and then they go for funding. So, okay, maybe they'll lose 150 quid or 200 quid on a funding, challenge, but then they'll do that again and then they'll get it. You know what I mean? So there's much more of a structured process now. Obviously, you have crypto and people flying money into crypto. That's a different, that's a conversation for another day. But I think the prop side of things has massively increased the quality of people entering this industry. Massively. Why does someone want to go and copy someone's signals and risk blowing their account when they can spend that money and potentially get a 100 grand account and not have to be answerable to anyone? They can earn that money for themselves. And I think, prop firms have really shaped this industry in a very positive way. Now, of course, you are going to have the side of that which people like, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the BBC, but it certainly seems like they dislike this. They dislike the fact that a company like FTMO is going to make money off of people who lose money on challenges. That's life, that is business. I don't want to sound like, a cold, callous person or like I don't care. I wish nobody lost money in trading in any capacity. It would be fantastic. We'd all be sunshine and rainbows and we'd always be one big happy family, right? But at the end of the day, 90% of people lose, and FTMO are there, or companies like FTMO prop firms, for those 10% who do make it. And the 90%, just like in every market, if you go into the market and you lose £1,000 today, someone else has made £1,000. That's the way it is. You have a winner and a loser on each side of the market, but you watch that documentary, the BBC, it seems like they have this opinion of, if you get into trading, you should be entitled to making money. If you spend a few hundred quid on education, you should be entitled to earning that back. That's not the way life works. You don't see someone starting a business. I've ran a few businesses, my short life, but you don't see someone starting a business and they spend, 100 grand, get 100 grand in debt to start a business with, a restaurant or something like that. 2 years later, it's gone under. You don't see the BBC making documentaries about how businesses is a scam because you could lose all your money. It's a simple fact of it. That's life. And that's the reason the pay in trading is so good, is because of how difficult it is and how much you have to apply yourself. But that's a long way to answer that question. But to answer your question, I think prop firms, I think they're absolutely excellent. I think people should be careful. You need to be ready. I would say, unless you can produce 5% minimum month after month for 2 or 3 months running, you're really not ready to start looking at taking challenges and stuff like that. The reason I say that is if you take like a pretty much any funding challenge and you make 5% for the month, you'll get the next month free anyway. So you can just continually keep on just ending a little bit in profit until you crack it. Best way to go.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said it better myself. I think you put it excellently. I totally agree with everything you said about prop firms. And I think it's so important to start with a demo account or with a very small amount of leverage, whatever size of account you can afford to lose. Just assume you're basically going to lose whatever you start with. Make it fake money, then you don't lose any real money. You don't waste your time even, you just learn from your time. And then speaking on the percentages thing, yeah, it's true that so many people fail, but I can definitely see in agreement with your point that people who will come through VVS, that's my mentorship, he'll come through my mentorship through VVS, they post all the time of them passing all these challenges, and it's much higher than 90% rate. I'm sure it's very similar with yours as well. And it's so important to learn accurately how to trade. So going off of the demo topic as well, I know there's a lot of topic about demos in the video. What is your real opinion about demos? I know they kind of took some things out of context.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're referring to is the fact that FTMO will give you a demo account to trade.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So I am not FTMO in the sense that was another thing in the documentary. You see me being like, like, I'm not FTMO. I'm waiting on my solicitor, my lawyer's approval to post a video exposing. So I actually secretly recorded that full interview and I ran what they showed on TV side by side with my secret recording. And you actually see that loads of bits they cut from different parts of the interview and just pasted it in. So that where I'm like, I'm not FTMO and I get all angry. That didn't actually come after them questioning me about my partnership with FTMO. It came after them questioning me for about 20 minutes about FTMO's business model. They were asking me, oh, well, why does this? And do you know this person at FTMO and all that? And I was like, stop asking me about FTMO. That's not my business. Go and talk to them about it. But they made it look like I was very defensive. A lot of people after watching that video thought that I worked for FTMO. They thought that I was like, FTMO's biggest partner. I made like £50, man, from our FTMO partnership. I don't know why. I think something I said to a friend was, I think the good guys open the door when someone knocks and they go, hey, can we take a look around? The good guys open the door, the bad guys, keep it shut. So it's very rare in these types of situations that the bad guys get exposed because the bad guys don't want to let in the cameras. The good guys are like, hey, come in, you can film us, we're going to sit and trade. And, when the BBC were actually at our offices, I had a couple of days where I made money, I had a couple of days where I lost money. You'll notice in the documentary, there's no footage of me at my desk, at my screens. I spend 12 hours a day at my screens. All the guys in here spend, 10, 12 hours per day sitting at the screen, running stats, back testing, refining their strategy, reviewing their journal all day. But in that documentary, it looks like we're always on holiday and, we just place a couple of trades and it just looks so cliche, like luxury lifestyle type of thing. And it's complete opposite. And they actually commented on that when they were here. They said, we're so surprised by how professional you guys are, because everybody else we've spoken to, which was IML, they said they just say it's like sexy money and it's easy and all that. And I was like, look around you. Does it look like we're having an easy time? This is hard work. And it's just a shame they didn't portray that. They didn't portray that in the documentary. But with regards to the whole demo account thing with FTMO, if I was funding people online, I would do it one of two ways. Now, we're funding people in person. It doesn't matter. You don't need a demo account because you can see the person right beside you. You can go, mate, why are you in that trade? It's not difficult. But if I was funding people online, I would do it one of two ways. It would either be very, very low leverage and they would have a risk per day allowance, so like 2% risk every day that they can lose on the account, or they'd be funded on a demo account with a risk management software in there, like FTMO. Now, the kind of speculation that the BBC had was that FTMO uses a demo account and they just pay you out of failed challenge fees. It's not connected to live accounts. I don't know whether that's true. FTMO have told me that they're connected to live accounts, so I'm going to take their word for it on that. But to me, what matters is that they pay you if you make money. I mean, that may sound controversial. When I said that to the BBC, they were like, "Oh, what?" And I was like, "If you make money, they pay you. If you don't, they don't. I mean, what does it matter if it's connected to anything? What does it actually matter?" And they were like, "Yeah, but they think that they're funded traders." And I was like, "But they're still trading the markets. People who make money on FTMO are still trading the markets and getting paid the amount of money that they would have earned if they were trading the markets. In your hypothetical situation, if they're not actually, they're getting paid the same money that they would for doing the same thing. So what difference does it make to them?" And they were like, couldn't really answer me. I was like, "Do you not understand this is how most brokerages work?" And they were like, "Most brokerages are B-book brokerages. You open an account with that broker and you never trade on the live market. You get a live account, you never trade on the live market. You deposit money, it goes into their bank account. They know that 90% are going to lose, and the 10% that make money aren't going to make more than the 90% lose. So they just pay you out of other people's deposits." Loads of offshore brokerages work that way. Loads of brokers in Cyprus, loads of brokers in Australia. And they were like blown away. And I was like, do you know how many B-book brokerages I had accounts on back in the day, 3-4 years ago? And you still get paid out when you make money. Now, do I use a B-book brokerage now? No. No, I would rather use a broker where I'm actually executing on the market. You get better quotes and better spreads and all that kind of thing. But as long as you get paid, I really don't see why it matters. It'd be a different story if they were outright lying about, saying you are connected to a live account and it wasn't. I would have an issue with that because I don't rate dishonesty. I think it's, I'm a Christian. I'm very, very passionate Christian. Honesty is a huge, huge thing to me. Honesty and integrity. So if they were outright lying, I think that's the issue. But if they pay people out and they're not lying about, the connection to live accounts, then I don't see any issue.
Firstly, I agree with you. I have a chosen shirt on right now, actually.
Yeah, lovely.
So I'm also
Awesome.
a Christian, and I appreciate hearing about that from you as well. And in regards to copying trades from prop firms, I know that there is a prop firm. I can't mention it right now for legal reasons, but there is a prop firm that's been in the news lately for a separate one, hasn't been mentioned yet, that they're having issues because they're not paying out people because some people were doing too well.
Oh,
I don't want to mention
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But that definitely is a concern. And now being on the other side of a prop firm, being on the ownership side, it seems absolutely crazy to back no one. It seems like you should at least back some people who are doing really, really well, so you don't get into a situation like that. Even if they're trading on a demo account, that doesn't mean that the trades aren't being copied or the data isn't being used.
Here's the thing, Blake. Recently we had the broker that we've worked with is Admiral Markets. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like a UK-based brokerage. I work with them because they're FCA regulated, right? So the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, is like the main financial jurisdiction in the UK, like governing body. So I work with them for our company accounts. To be completely transparent, the way we're going to have things set up is when we have a trading floor. We've only got a handful of guys here. When we've got 20, 30 guys, this is the way we will work. And this is, I'm going to say this on camera, but they have built us a risk management software where I can see everybody's individual accounts. Now I can set up subscriber accounts to those accounts. So if someone's doing really well, I can set up my own account to track their trades as well and copy their trades. Now, if someone's not doing so well, I am, for an extended period of time, instead of pulling funding from them and saying, I'm not going to fund you anymore, I'm going to work with that trader. But in the meantime, instead of taking them off of funding or putting them onto demo, I'm going to set up, again, I can do it through the platform. I can set up a subscriber account that does the opposite of their trades. It's called taking the other side. And what I'll do is I would do that on half of their sizing to mitigate risk. And what that would mean is, if they're losing, let's say 5%, a month, it would actually, I'd be making back 2.5% on that subscriber account that's taking the other side of them. So at the end of the month, they're really only down 2.5%. And that's the way I would mitigate risk. And as they start to get their P&L positive again through me working with them and getting them back, and they start having break-even months and they start having positive months, I can just switch that account from taking the other side to tracking their trades. It's very, very simple. It's hedge. It's the way you would hedge your risk by taking the other side of them on small risk. And it means that it's for the benefit of everybody. Now, again, some people might not like that, but do I really care? I'm not doing it to profit off of that person. I'm doing it to mitigate risk whilst that person finds their feet. And loads of brokerages do that, but they actually make a load of money off of people who lose money. But yeah, I mean, that's something that I've seen from working on this side of the industry. There's a lot of stuff in this industry that people just don't want to look at. They think that that's a bit fishy or that's a bit suspect or whatever. But it's like, this is something I said to the BBC is just ask me whatever you want, and I'll tell you. And they don't know what to do in that situation, because in that situation, they're like, they have this big rap sheet of questions. You know, it's an A4 page of how we're going to potentially get him to tell us about this and all that. And I'm like, see that? Just, you don't have to do that. Just ask me outright. And they were like, rabbit in headlights, didn't know what to say. As I say, working on both sides of the industry as someone who once paid educators, once looked at prop firms, now running a prop firm, now running education, I see all the shady stuff that goes on in this industry. I've got people who run companies, you know, people who run prop firms, people who run education. This industry isn't, you know, it's not, there's a lot of white knights in this industry, people who look like they're really honest guys and all that kind of stuff. The fact is, if you want to be in this industry, you have to accept there's a lot of people who aren't like that. You know, I mean, you find people who are, you got to cling on to them because they're very rare. But yeah, if you're getting into this industry, accept that it's full of people who just want your money, and you have to be vigilant. You have to be smart about it. And at the end of the day, you have to see, you know, like a company like FTMO, if they're going to pay you out, cool. If there's another company like the company we kind of alluded to a moment ago, if you find out there's a company that's maybe not paying people out, just don't go with that company, and go with the company that is until they stop, and then go with someone else. It's, you know, it's a buyer's market in this sense. There's once a time, you know, when I came onto the scene, you didn't have all these groups on Telegram and stuff like that. It was all, you know, forums and the occasional Facebook group. Brokerages, you have to really hunt to find a good brokerage. Now there's hundreds of brokers, hundreds of education firms, tens of prop firms. You know, as I say, it's a buyer's market. There's plenty out there to be had. It's just a matter of doing your research and going with who has a good reputation.
Yeah. And so we talked a little bit about IML or IM earlier. I'd like to just get your general thoughts on that. I was also part of them a super long time ago. I'm definitely not affiliated with them in any way. I'm happy to give my thoughts on that as well, but I'd love to hear your thoughts first with that.
This is actually really funny. Nobody's ever asked me about this, but I have always, when I first started trading, I was in a Facebook group chat with people who had been taught by IML. And I remember saying to them, what is this IML? And they said, oh, you know, use my sign up link. And I was like, what's the sign up link? And another guy was like, no, use my sign up link. And straight away I was like, right, okay, it's a bit sus. And they were like, no, like we'll get money. And then if you sign someone up, you'll get money and all that kind of stuff. And it just started to unravel. And I was like, this seems a little bit. So I never got involved with IML. But what's funny is I had a mate who I used to go to the gym with. I'm not going to name him, right? But I had a mate who I used to go to the gym with. And when KB kind of took off, and you know, I was on social media quite a lot about KB, he got involved with IML. And he once messaged me on Instagram and he was like, can me and my mate come and have a meeting with you? And I was like, right, okay, I thought they maybe want to learn how to trade properly or something like that. And they sat me down at this table, we went out for coffee, and they were like, you know, proper like businessmen. They were like sitting across the table and they were like, listen, you know, we have a team of 30 guys under us, and we're like chairman, like 15s, or I don't know what all the names are. They're like, you know, we're like chairman, and we're like, we've got really good rep in the company. We have all these people who are like in our, like, whatever the groups are called. They're like, and we could, you know, we could work with you and we could recruit people for you, your company and all that. And I was like, it's the weirdest thing. It was like being at some kind of like cult meeting. You know, this guy's there, we're like inside, and he's like wearing sunglasses and all that. He's got like all colors through his hair. Just a crazy. I don't know if anybody who watched this has seen IML markers. They're a new breed. It's like a new species, right? They're like, it's like they've, you know, an alien like craft has just dropped on the earth, and all these creatures have come out. They're the weirdest looking, like eccentric, crazy people. But they were like sitting like preaching to me about IML and about, you know, this is a key to happiness and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, it was really, really intense. I felt like I was being like recruited to the Church of Scientology or something like that. But yeah, basically I said no to them. And that was the last I ever heard about IML. A couple of months later, it turns out those two guys, you know, who I'd known from the gym, loads of people in their friend group had outed them for trying to get them involved, or had got them involved, and they'd lost loads of money on IMLs. Like, I don't know if it's like a signal kind of thing, or And it was just, yeah. So I've never really heard anything good about them, to be honest. And when I watched the BBC documentary, I feel like they tried to make it worse, maybe. I mean, I don't want to comment on that, but just knowing what they tried to do with me, I feel like maybe IML isn't as bad as they tried to make it out, although it could be a lot worse. But I found it funny where they were looking, he was like, oh, I only made 9% this month, you know, in the documentary. And I was like, you made 9, what? Can I join? You know what I mean? Like 9% in a month and you're complaining, man, what is wrong with you? And then instead of saying something like, you know, in a savings account, you'd make 0.5% interest per year, or, you know, some of the best hedge funds in the world make 8% a quarter, you know, some of the best hedge funds in the world make 6% a year. They're like, oh, you know, if I wanted to make meaningful money, I would have to put in 13 grand. And I'm like, 13 grand? You kidding me on? Like, that is nothing for a trading account, you know, or you could even go 2% risk and have a 6 grand account. It's a tiny account, but they jump in with £100 and they're trying to like say IML's a scam. I think is what they're trying to say, is IML's a scam because you can't make a living unless you invest more than £100. Like, yeah, no way. I never could have guessed.
Yeah, I just want to talk really briefly about my experience with IM or IML. It was around over 3 years ago, and I felt like I was one of the very few people who was actually there to learn how to trade. I felt like most people that I met in that industry felt like they were just trying to recruit people to get the chairman status or other statuses that you get when recruiting a bunch of people, because it is a multi-level marketing company. But that's how I originally learned the basics, and I did learn the absolute basics from them, and I really do appreciate it. But at the same time, I've come to other places since then to where I learned the real trading strategies that I actually use today. Elite Wave, Smart Money, Wyckoff is the main three that I still use today. None of which I learned from them. So, which is really interesting just to see how much time and effort I spent with that, where I could have been spending it elsewhere to be so much more effective. And by the way, just to be really clear, I never made a single cent from recruiting anyone with IM or IML.
That's what they all say. No, I mean, yeah, I believe you. The people on there, you can see that the people had no interest in trading. I mean, one of the guys said to them, I don't know what the guy's name was, but he was like, yeah, I trade for like an hour a day. And I was like, is this serious? Because when they filmed with us, they were like, so how many hours a day do you trade for? And I'm like, actually, like clicking the button and executing trades, you know, hardly any time, but I'm at the charts, you know, analysis and back testing and all that. I was like, that's a full-time thing, you know. And they kind of had this idea, it's really glamorous and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, of course, there is unlimited potential to how high you can go in terms of your returns. If you can make 10% monthly, if you make 5% monthly consistently, you can get funding. You can get tens of millions in funding and you can be making 5%. Even if you're splitting that, you know, 90% to the investor, 10% to you, you're still absolutely killing it. There's very few limits to how high you can go in trading, but it's not easy. You know, something I said to them is, at the time they were filming, I went through a 3-month drawdown, 3 months of not just not making money, but actually losing money consistently. Very, very scary for that to happen to me 5.5 years into my trading career, to have, you know, 3 months consecutively of not making money. It was really scary kind of time. But they came during that and I said, you know, I'm working 12-hour days here, 5 days a week. I'm coming on weekends as well, so maybe 6 days a week. Let's just round it down and say I'm working a 60-hour week. I'm not working for anything right now. I'm working for free. In fact, I'm not even working for free. I am paying to come to work because I'm losing money. So if you're down, you know, 3 or 4 grand at the end of the month, you know, GBP pounds, if you're down 3,000 or 4,000 pounds at the end of the month and you've worked 4 60-hour weeks, you've worked 240 hours and you've lost 3 or 4 grand to do it. That's not good going, you know, but that's the reality of it. And when I told them that, it was like, I mean, they may as well have just turned the camera around because none of that made the cut. None of it made it onto TV because it's just, you know, it's not what they want to portray. But
well,
yeah,
I promise that I'll keep this in, by the way. I promise that I won't cut this out.
But it wouldn't surprise me if you just got me being like, I make, and it's just cut like 4 grand a day. You know, trading is easy. No, but it's one of these things. When I saw the IML kind of stuff, I'd always heard bad things about them, or at least negative things. I have no doubt that there are people, and if, you know, anybody's watching this as part of IML and they are there to learn, hats off to you, man. Like, fair play. maybe your mate wanted to join, you gave him your link. I don't see there's anything wrong with that, in all honesty. How many subscription services do you have, like, whether it be Netflix or something like that, and or Spotify or TradingView, and you can give someone, your mate, a referral link, and you get something, they get something. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think when it becomes an issue is when you are using your social media presence to capitalize off of people. That isn't necessarily bad, unless you're doing it through misconception. And the example I would give you is, how many Instagram influencers, they're sitting with an iPhone in their hand in a photo, and they've been paid to put up that photo, and they get 10 grand for that. Now, that's not dishonest because they genuinely use an iPhone. So I would say there's nothing wrong with you getting paid for that ad. Now, if they're sitting there and they're like, drinking some My Protein, like sports water, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just drinking my My Protein sports water, and they get paid 10 grand for that, but don't use it, and they say like, oh, I use this every day, there's something wrong with that. Now, what's the difference? It's the same photo, but just one you actually use and you're being honest about it, the other one you're being dishonest. That's when it becomes an issue. I think it's the same with this kind of affiliate marketing stuff. Like, if you are part of a company like IML and you genuinely trade with them and learn how to trade, and your mate wants to sign up, or a few of your mates want to sign up, and you get them involved, fine. It becomes an issue when you don't even trade, you have no interest in trading, you can't trade, and you're going, oh yeah, I make loads of money from trading, sign up with this company and you can make loads of money too. And then all of a sudden, all these people sign up and they're just paying you to be part of the company, and then they just repeat it. And that's how the pyramid scheme kind of forms. People hate that term pyramid scheme if they're part of IML. They're like, no, it's multi-level marketing. It's all the same.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And I really appreciate having you on. And I want to ask you just one more question, which is that for aspiring traders and prop firm traders, what is the best advice that you can give them with all of your experience?
Don't get to trading. No. I mean, that is the best advice. If you don't want any disappointments ever for the rest of your life, don't even bother trading, because you will constantly have regret or disappointments. But one thing I would say is, trading isn't for everyone, but just because it has a low success rate and it's not for everyone doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. In fact, I would actually recommend everybody, if you have the slightest interest in the markets, try trading. Now, don't do it live, right? Don't jump on one of these crazy affiliate schemes or anything like that. If you have even the slightest interest in trading, absolutely try it. Try it on a demo account. Spend a little bit of time with it. Do it as like a hobby. Do it in the evening. Study it on the weekends. Really commit to it and try and learn it. But do it in a safe manner and find out if it's for you. Don't see it as a way of making money, but see it as, this is your beta testing phase. You want to see, is this a good fit? Is this something I want to do? The kind of example I would give you, I'm going to come up with a really crude example on the spot here, so it's probably not going to be any good. But if you wanted to get into like skydiving, for example, no one in their sane right mind is going to go out and spend £10,000 on a skydiving rig and, block by 50,000-60,000 worth of lessons, and then go and do skydiving and then realize that they don't like it. You do a taster session, you go and speak to people who are involved in it, you research it, you study it, you find out a bit about it, you maybe go on one skydive, maybe go on two, and then you kind of build up as you go along. And it's the same with trading. Don't just go, trading sounds good, I'm going to put 10 all of my savings account into a trading account and just fling myself at it. Do it the safe way. You wouldn't just go and jump out of a plane, right? So do it the safe way, get a demo account. If you have a slightest interest, go and try it, but do it in the safe way. And then as you gain experience, if it's for you, then you can commit some real money to it. You can spend some money on education. But if you're just finding out about trading and stuff like that, don't go out and spend £1,000 on a course or £500 on a course. The same way I wouldn't recommend you go and put £1,000, £500 into a brokerage account, because even though you might learn something from that course, if in 3 months' time you have no interest in trading, you have really wasted that money. The same way I wouldn't recommend anyone go and spend, tens of thousands of pounds on a degree at university or college or whatever to do a subject they have no interest in. Find out if you're interested in it, do it the safe way. If it's for you, start putting some money into it, live account, manage your risk correctly. Maybe explore the route of prop firms. You don't have to. It's there if you want to scale up. But yeah, take your time. The markets have been around since before myself and Blake were even alive. The markets will be here long after. The markets are essential. When you understand the financial markets, they are essential to facilitate foreign trade. They're essential to facilitate foreign transactions. Financial markets will always be around in some form or another. Now, it may be in 100 years, the financial markets are all crypto. It may well be, but there is always going to be markets there to trade. So take your time. There's no rush. You're not trying to make an income next week. You're not trying to make an income next month. If you're a beginner, you're not even trying to make an income this time next year. Now, I really hope that you will have made it by next year, but there is really no guarantee. What you want to do is you want to start getting your feet on those rungs to build a successful career going forward. Set yourself a realistic timeline and say, I want to be profitable within 3 years. And see if you do that and you go about things the right way and you get decent education and you listen to people who have been there and who have done it before, and you do commit to following in, their kind of general direction and managing risk, you'll stand the test of time. Trading is an industry where if only 10% make it, only the quote unquote experts make it in this game. Now, they say it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. You do the maths. How many hours can you dedicate per day? How many years is it going to take to become an expert? And that is a realistic time frame for when you'll be a consistently profitable trader. You may do that math and say, oh, with how much time I've got available per day, it's going to take me 5 years. If you can't be patient enough and resilient enough, dedicated enough to wait 5 years, maybe trading isn't for you. I hate to be I don't know if that's negative or that's kind of doom and gloom, but it's a career like anything else. It's not this kind of super flash, crazy, yacht parties and that all the time. Sure, you can do some of that. That will happen. But that's not a daily thing. And what you'll find is as you develop a love and a passion for trading, your passion will be for sitting at your desk, refining your edge, reviewing your journal, making yourself better. And when you're out on boat parties and on holiday and stuff like that, you'll have a good first few days. And after 3 or 4 days, you'll be thinking about, man, I really want to be back at my desk. I really want to be, further developing this system, developing that strategy. It's an addiction, so you've got to manage it. You've got to manage it diligently.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. And it really goes to show, if you are taking it seriously, it's so crucial that you do learn from someone who's actually good, whether that's KB trading or VVS or some other mentorship course, what have you. It's so important to get the correct way down. It's so much harder to unlearn a bad strategy than it is to learn a good strategy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And there is a lot of bad strategies out there. At the end of the day, people can overcomplicate things, right? This is all you have to do. And it sounds simple. It's very, very simple, but it's difficult to execute this. You have to find something that has a positive expectancy. Again, this is the advice for those kind of beginners. And all that means is that the percentage of times it wins out of a set number of trades is justified by the average return on those winners. So for example, if you have a strategy that only wins 50% of the time, you realistically need to make more than 1 times what you make when you lose. So if you make 1.5 times, you're going to make 7.5% on those 5 that win. You're going to lose 5% on those 5 that lose out of 10, right? So you're up 2.5%. That's a positive expectancy. The average return on winners, calculated with the percentage probability of a winner or the strike rate, produces a positive outcome. You need something like that you can repeat consistently. You need to test that over a large sample of data, maybe 6, maybe even 10 years, and see, if I traded like this over the past 10 years, how would my results go? Whack that into a spreadsheet and see how often you'll hit runs of losers. Okay, so I won that, 5 winners in a row, then I hit 5 losers, I have 6 winners, then I have 3 losers, and just understand that these clumps of winners, clumps of losers are going to happen. But over time, you plot that as an equity curve. You can use like equity curve simulator, and you can see that over time, your equity curve is going to be gradually increasing. And just understand, your job is not to make money every time, it's to make money over time. It's not to make money every time you click the mouse, every time you exit a trade. It's to make money over the next 10, 50, 100, 200, 300, 1,000 trades. That is your goal. Commit to that. Positive expectancy, consistency, commit to the time, commit to hard work. You're going to smash it.
Awesome. So if the lawyer gives you the okay, I'm sure you'll have something will be on your channel. I'll have a card right here ready for wherever that will take them.
Yeah, so we are going to do, if my lawyer, here's the thing, I more want to put it out because I think it's quite funny. It's a kind of like a, got you moment. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's super injustice and all that kind of stuff that's been done to me, and I feel sorry for myself and all that. But as well as I know, being a Christian, it's like no injustice that can be done to us in this life is really anything in the grand scheme of things. You kind of look at it, you think your hard done to is it's really small, small scale. So that's my kind of view on it. It's not like I'm trying to get revenge or get my own back or clear my name or anything like that. But I did get that secret recording of the full interview, and they cut and edited it so like sneakily, and it's just so evil what they done. I'd really like to expose it, and I have made a YouTube video ready to expose it. But if I don't get the go ahead, I won't post it. If I do, it will be up on my channel.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have a link to it either in the description or with the card. And if the audience, if you guys want me to react to it, if and when Sam does post that, I'm happy to do so as well. Thank you so much for having you on. You've been a pleasure to talk to.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Blake.
Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. I really, really appreciate it. If you got any value out of this interview, I'd really appreciate it if you guys hit the like button and check if you're subscribed. One really quick thing I want to mention before the video ends about the IML stuff. IML, for those of you who don't know, it's a multi-level marketing company. Most of the people in that, I feel like most people in that industry like to make money off of recruiting people, or at least trying to do so. I never made a single cent from recruiting anyone with IML or any other multi-level marketing company ever in my whole life. That was around 4 years ago or so that I was a student of IML, and I felt like I was one of the few people that was actually there only to learn how to trade from what I thought were really, really good traders. Again, I'm not condoning anything they do. I'm not associated with them in any way. I just want to make this super, super clear. If you guys want a suggestion of which video to watch next, check out this video right here. It's about the video I made describing how I made my own prop firm. I go into some details of that, and believe me, it's a very, very competitive prop firm. It's extremely interesting, so if you haven't already seen that, I highly, highly recommend that. Also, let me know in the comments below if you want me to collaborate with KB Trading or another YouTuber in the near future. Let me know and I'll try to make it happen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.